Hi YouTube. I hope you're doing well. Um it's kind of cold and well, it was raining out. It rained all night really bad and I'm super lucky today. Anyway, that a friend of Doug's and a friend of his are coming over and they're going to help Doug put up the rubber roof on that kitty house. So, yeah, that's really good news for me and I asked Doug if he wanted me to come out and help get some pine needles off the top, and he's like, they're just gonna go right over it. So it's at least that will be done. So yeah, I was really that's good news. Um, yeah, I was listening to a live stream on Leak Project today, and there was a woman on there that seemed to know an awful lot about slaying demons until she got to the part that said archangels, and she considered herself an archangel, that archangels can't slay demons. And it's like, okay. I just said I'm out of here. Well, I did go back. I told Rex, well, I was concerned, so I came back because, and then I just wrote before I left, I go, like I see you. I see who you are. Her name was June something or another. So anyway, you can go look at the interview, whatever. Um, it'll say something about demonology, and I guess she's got a YouTube channel called Ghost Girls or some, yeah, whatever. That's a big whatever. you know, you know, but, and I'm I think I'm glad I didn't listen to the whole thing, but when I did come back, I saw that Rex had written a couple things that said like he didn't agree with a certain thing or that, you know. It's like, okay, all right. I felt a little better then, you know. And he's always polite. He thanks his guests. He thanks everybody for being there and everything. I'm not always polite, but that's I'm not sucking up to get any views. I like I say, if people want to watch me, maybe because they're like-minded or we might have something in common or um that's one thing. But to have everybody and their mother wanting to watch me because it's something um out in the public eye that people are fascinated with. But if it's false information and it's putting other people in harm's way and giving bad advice, then I put my foot down. I'm like, hey, that's enough of this, you know. So that's uh anyway. Enough of that. But yeah, today's gonna be a pretty good day for me. I've had 3 nights of pretty sleepless nights with the dampness in the air. It just really hurts. So I'm not totally a big baby, and I'm still doing things today, but I've got a bunch of broccoli in my crock pot, and I'm going to make broccoli and cheese soup. Sometimes if I have carrots, I'll put that in there, or if I have cauliflower, I'll do like broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, and some people use chicken broth, but I just want mine to be um, vegetarian, not vegan, because I'll have the dairy in there, but it'll be pretty good. We don't always need meat or like, okay, last night we had pizza, so tonight I want to make something a little better. you know, Although I am craving to make like chicken fingers or fried chicken and like mashed potatoes or even French fries. I love now, but I used to not. Um, I didn't like potato chips and I didn't like French fries. Then I find out I'm allergic to them and I want them. It's very weird. Well, I've always loved mashed potatoes, so um, yeah, always. I was always the mashed potato maker in my family because it takes time to peel them and mash them, and other people I was around weren't that ambitious when they were cooking. So anyway, so I think the broccoli's gonna taste really good tonight. I'm thinking about maybe making some homemade rolls to go with it. So, and the rolls will probably be the belle of the ball, you know. So, listen to a really good interview. A doctor, I don't remember his name. I have it on my Facebook. I shared the video Doug had shared with me. Just one more doctor opposing all this, and that's kind of where, and oh, just really quick, it may get really noisy outside. So if you hear things going on, or like Doug's friend Dave, well, our friend is a really loud speaking person. That's just how he talks, really. So if you hear noises and the tractor or anything like that, that's just them out there working. Doug said, I had put it on my video after I had, yesterday. He said I should have one of those big lights or a light like in a studio, to let him know when I'm recording because when he comes up on the porch, he's always like stomping the mud off his feet. I do too, but it doesn't sound like that. But anyway, so I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. I pretty much was, done talking about what I was talking about yesterday anyway, and figured I'd see what he was up to when he came in. So, and thought if it was something that I had forgotten that I was going to talk about, I can always get back on here. So, but yeah, it, nothing was that pressing that I had to get back on. And oh, I don't know. There's really not a whole lot on my mind. What I was really thinking is, from what I understand, November 3rd, a lot of people are going to be gathering in their communities around the world, or at least in the United States. And I don't know if where you live, if you have heard any of this, that you're going to be doing this, or I just hope they keep the insurgents out of the whole situation. It's like Hamish from the High Frequency Tribe yesterday had gone to one of those rallies, and it was mostly parents. He said, just average people, not anybody that was like what could be considered an activist. Parents concerned about their children and wondering what's the next steps that they can take to secure their future with their families. And Hamish homeschools his child, or children, I should say, a teenage daughter and a little boy, and suggested that they do the same or organize and get together where they can do that within their communities. And the biggest advice he gave, which I would give people too, he spoke publicly to a large crowd, is definitely get to know your neighbors and get to know the people around you. See what side of the fence they're on, talk to them. I mean, I wouldn't bother arguing with anybody, vax or no vax, or what their political or religious interests are. I would just kind of feel around like, how do you feel about what's going on in the world, and what kind of resources do they have and what do you have, and you know, that type of thing. See, I know for us, we're always going to have water where a lot of our neighbors may not. But one of our neighbors has a greenhouse. Another, well, more than one of our neighbors has livestock. And oh, I saw a wonderful post of Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, AOC, saying that the emissions from one cow is enough to kill you. And the meme said, okay, I'll make you a deal. I'll spend the night, which I have, in my garage, well, it was my barn, with my cow, and you spend the night in your garage with your car running, and we'll get together tomorrow and we'll talk about it. No, I thought that was so hilarious because from the time of anybody's remembrance on this planet and from history books, there were far larger herds of very large animals roaming the ranges all over the world, and the sky was much bluer back then. But they don't want to say that it's their political greed and their factories that are polluting the atmosphere, you know. So, but I just thought that was cute. How funny is that? And I did not get sick sleeping next to my cow. She had injured her leg trying. We had put her over, and the neighbors wanted us to put um, our calves over by their pond across the fence from us so they could eat down all the brush and kind of stomp it down and clean it up around there. But my one Bessie, Wilma, and Willie, Bessie tried to come back home and she crawled through the fence and she sliced her hock open. And so I babied her. I put this stuff called blue coat on her. It's iodine, spray on iodine for cattle, and wrapped her up and put some salve on her and that type of thing. But she was crying. So I just laid her down in the straw and I cuddled her and we both fell asleep, you know. But she was only like about, oh, maybe 100 pounds at the time or something like that. Considerably small and just a sweet girl. And another time I spent the night in my horse's stall with her because she was having a bad day, you know. So yeah, not this horse I have now, but had now that just died a while ago, my first one. So I think a lot of it was I just didn't even want to go in the house anyway. So and the barn was mine. Um, I could have made a house out of it because it had a beautiful loft and we had repainted it and everything. We had it moved in. It was so cool watching a barn come down the road. It wasn't really small. I think it was I'm going to say 15 by 25 maybe or 30. Might have been 30 feet long. Yeah, it was pretty good size with the loft and whatever, and we sat it on a concrete slab, and so it was pretty. It had the Dutch doors where you could open the top or the bottom, and then it had a front like a garage door, and the back had a loft, and then it had a couple windows in there, and we built a lean-to off the back of it, and yeah, it was a pretty little barn. But yeah, well, yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, very long time. Almost 50 years ago. Well, 48 years ago, something like that. So, yeah, but I don't know. I'm I don't know. I'm not feeling like anxious or anything for myself, but I really am curious to see what's going to go down in society and how people are going to handle it. What type of people are going to want to actually fight, and what ones will stay home and just be totally passive or brain dead, and what ones will gather in their communities peacefully. If I lived in the cities, I would, but I don't. So, it's like all our neighbors, we are pretty much on the same level and mindset, most of us, you know, that if something bad happened, we've always banded together anyway. So, and I'm almost certain that we're the type of people that the cabal would want to take out anyway, because we're the very strong ones. No offense to anybody else, but we really are. you know, the farmers and the tradesmen and people that own their own businesses. We're the type of people that they want out of the situation, because if we can, even with the EMP, have a vehicle running, or if you have the technology or the intelligence to make your own fuel and still be able to motivate, that's the last thing they want. Or if you're like an electrician and you can devise some kind of communication with other people, that's, like I say, they don't want that type of thing, you know. Yeah, I saw, well, you all know that. Well, okay, here's this. You know that it was made a criminal offense to hurt an animal in the United States of America. It's a felony. But the people that are with the WHO and the world, or the NHA, the health organizations, do experiments on animals, and they're still out there walking around. Why? When somebody is caught dead hurting dogs, like Dr. F, isn't he in prison right now? That's a felony. So, yeah, it just shows you that they are in cahoots together, and they think they can do anything they want to do and still function in society, that people aren't going to have some ill feelings towards them. Oh, I do. I'm not going to say, oh, you have to love everybody and God's going to go into their heart. These people are monsters. That's not going to happen with them, you know. A leopard does not change its spots. The only time a leopard changes its spots is when somebody skins it and uses it for a fur coat. Then it doesn't have any spots, but it's still a leopard, you know. So thoroughly disgusting. Cutting out a dog's tongue, slicing their vocal cords, securing them down in sandflies and stuff, eating on them poor babies. That's what should happen to that type of person. Just that type of thing right there. You know, maybe not cut their vocal cords, just not even tie them up. Just put them in a room with a bunch of sandflies and fleas and see how they feel with no care. That would even be enough, you know, for my satisfaction, you know. Them poor dogs. And God knows, and I don't trust the fact that they haven't done more. on humans, you know. So, I mean, there's written texts of the experiments that these freaks have done all the way through, and society, most of society, is under the impression that this type of thing has stopped when they've literally had uh, people deep into psychology to find out how the human mind works to use that against us, to see what makes us cry or what makes us happy or what makes a person afraid or whatever, that type of thing. They know just what they're doing. It's sick, you know? Yeah. There's a lot of people that are like really radical about all this. I don't know how that's going to work for them. I'm not certain that it's probably not a good idea to get in that frame of mind. By all means, if somebody tries to put their hands on you or somebody that you love, yeah, I'd say there might be a time where a person might have to actually do something. But, the thing is, these people where they want to call themselves socialists or communist or whatever they want to call themselves, they think what you own is theirs. But the biggest topper of it all is they think they own your children. This was the mindset that started back in the Clinton days with It Takes a Village. And that was sort of how, like in Africa, the village would, just for instance, would all kind of care for the children, and in society, in the townspeople would kind of look after other people's kids in that respect. But it isn't like that. It doesn't take a village. It's like, this is my feelings, my personal feelings. If I had little tiny kids, it'd be like, no, and I did at the time when this ditch witch was spreading all her crap. It's like, no, it doesn't take a village, and you and your village better stay the hell away from my kids. You know, that's the way I felt about that. And then there was reports that Africans aren't really going through a lot of this tyranny like other countries are right now and that type of thing. No, because they've been going through tyranny the whole time. They were so secluded that they were able to experiment with different kinds of diseases and things on these people for generations now without the world saying a damn thing. Hardly anybody said anything. Some of us were highly aware of it and couldn't do anything about it or to help people, but most people weren't even aware that they were being mistreated, by the cabal. And it's happened over and over and over again. It's just like the spraying of DDT back in my day. The only reason they quit spraying that um along the boulevards in the city was because people started screaming about it, that they were poisoning their children. Otherwise, they'd still be doing it. It's just like the fluoride in the water. They don't take it out. There's other ways to decontaminate water. There's capsules you can buy. They could spend more money decontaminating the water, and people wouldn't have a lot of these disease ridden bodies. I mean, it's really not just the food we eat or have eaten, you know. It is too a lot like malnutrition could even be a heavyset person because they're not getting the right nutrients. Not that they're even eating too much, it's just what they're eating, they may even think is a healthy meal or a balanced diet, but it could maybe not be, you know. I've seen heavy set vegans that have been vegans for a long time. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe try something different. you know, do you ever eat a lot of vegetables or fruit and get a stomach ache? It's because the sugars in the vegetables and the fruits go through your body too quickly and you don't have the protein along with it, or unless you do, then you won't feel as bad. But you have to have, like, I'm putting the cheese with the broccoli tonight to make that a balanced scenario going through my system. Otherwise, if it were just the vegetables itself, that would create too much sugar and carbohydrates in my body, and it would actually take away from my muscle mass instead of complementing it. So, yeah, yeah, anyway. But yeah, it's crazy all over the world, and this is something that they have literally been planning from the beginning of time. This is nothing new. Satan thought he was ahead of the game with Christ, but like I reminded the cabal leaders some time ago, um, God already had it written in the stars. So how could you be ahead of the game? It's not just the scriptures, it's written in the stars, the whole story. And that, with astronomy and astrology, I'm not saying that you have to go by your zodiac and everything's just down pat and whatever some person wrote or something like that is like factual, because that's just not true. It's just like how they've changed a lot of the scriptures. We have to read it with our heart for the deepest understanding, because the law of God is written on our hearts, no matter where we are or who we are. And even people that try to deny that or drink it away or argue it away or whatever they try to do, you know, and they can try and praise another God, you know, or call somebody God, but that doesn't make it true, you know. Yeah, anyway. Oh, and from my understanding, I was watching a leak project yesterday. I can't remember the title of it, but it was about astrology, and from what the experts, whoever they are, could determine within the last 84,000 years that the Revelation 12 sign has happened like four separate times. This would be the fourth time of it happening. And I've told people these things have already happened over and over and over again. And the cabal is just using it as a playbook. Anytime we get too close to having strength or gathering together and getting them out of our hair, they pull something like a big catastrophe on the world and keep us submissive under control. Well, now they're literally attacking our, well, some more um, food supply and most likely water supplies. I suspect not just with the fluoride and the hydrochlorine and things in there. I suspect they're going to be putting other things in there too. That's just my instincts tell me. If they're monkeying with the food, they're going to be monkeying with that too. And this really has a lot to do with the children, the ones that are just being born and the ones that are already here and they're little, are being conditioned to accept the strangeness that's going on in this world. It's just like, okay, here's a scenario. Like the first transgender Playboy bunny, which I haven't seen, thank you, Lord. Um, you know, that's about as perverse as you get right there. I mean, and to me it's a little bit funny because if a guy is going to be, or woman, whoever is going to be looking at that, well, then they deserve not to know what they're looking at, you know? That kind of is my thoughts on that. And believe it or not, there are people out there that are not and never have been twisted in that respect, no matter what they've been presented with. They didn't go with the flow. So, um, and I am one of them. I'm strong like that. Now, I'm not saying that Satan doesn't try and make me think bad things, because he does. But I'm so aware of it because that's not me. And the second he tries to implant something in my brain, I'm like, get out of here, you know, because he keeps trying though, you know. Well, it's about to get rather noisy around here. I'm going to let you go. I love you all. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a good night or day wherever you're at. And if I hear anything new going on, let me know if you have gatherings in your community, and get kind of a feeling for how people are feeling around you. You know, I think it's important because this isn't over. It's not going away, and it's about to get rather messy. It's only going to get worse, and that's a fact. So, peace, everybody, and love.